Hey, everybody, we'll give everyone a little bit longer to join here, and then we'll get started. Can everyone hear me? I'm having a problem with OBS at the moment. Well, we'll hope that you all can hear me. We'll go ahead and get started. We've got about 22 of you. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to Mission Control here on a nice little Friday afternoon. Today. We're going to talk about Masters and the save and disk menu. And as usual, from Mission Control, we'll be playing our standard drinking game of You Drink Every Time I Forget to Switch the Screen. My mute button doesn't seem to be working correctly at the moment, so if I accidentally forget to mute, we will go from there. Maybe I won't mute at all, just to keep from forgetting to unmute, since I can't use the button on the stream deck for some reason all of a sudden, and I don't know why. So let's go ahead and get started. And hey, Jay and Tom and everyone else I haven't said hi to yet. And Mr. Sam is, of course, with us, and Tim has rejoined us. So, yes, maybe we'll get to hear the equipment hitting the wall if it keeps ticking me off. So, let's talk about masters. To assign masters, you can go from the system mode, hold down the Avo key and press disk, and then choose assign masters. Or you press record and create masters. You cannot do the record and then create masters on the Pearl Expert, and I believe possibly the original Tiger Touch Pro. I don't think either of those allow you to do it from the record menu, but you can press Avo and disk and then go to the system mode, or just like I said, anything else you can hit record and go there. So let's talk about what else we got here. Master types, intensity masters. Intensity master can affect the overall intensity of your console or for only playbacks. On some consoles, you'll have a designated fader for Grandmaster, or you can create and assign one to any playback you wish. You can assign the following masters to any fader on the console. Grandmaster masters the overall intensity of the console. Flash Master masters the maximum level used when flashing playbacks. Swap Master masters the maximum level used when swapping playbacks. Preset Master masters the levels of dimmers and fixtures in the preset section. The preset fader handles are where the fixtures are patched to. That's generally going to be a Pearl Expert if you've patched stuff to the actual faders. And Playback Master masters the levels of the playbacks. And we'll go through and we'll play with all these after we talk about all of them. Group master, you can copy a group of fixture. You can copy groups onto faders and use these to mask the intensity of certain groups of fixtures. To assign a group to a fader, simply press copy and then choose the group, and then choose the blue swap button on the fader you would like to be the master. It will default to scale master, but you can choose from the following types under playback options. Scale master scales the intensity of the fixtures relative to their current values. For example, you have the beam root at 50% and the beam scale master at 50%. The lights would output 25% of the beams because half of half is 25. Uh, HTTP master for that group of fixtures allows you to control the overall intensity for this group of fixtures. Limit, let's just set a maximum level, cannot be overridden by playbacks or other masters. Takeover will not take control of the fixtures until you match their current level, at which point you can increase or decrease their level. And we'll talk about that more in 1 second. Disable temporary disables the fader. Takeover. So say we had our lights at 75%. and we moved our takeover master. We can move it up and down all day long between 0 and 74%, and it's not going to do a doggone thing to those fixtures. Once we hit 75%, we can then go up or down from that point, but until you match their current level, it's not going to do anything. BPM masters, there are more features would enable you to use the more control of speed. With the recent addition of BPM edge sync, and BPM masters more flexible with the speed of chases they can control as well as when they start. This is done by connecting the BPM master to the encoder wheel, scale multiplier. That can be set in playback options. We went all over that 2 days ago when we did our chases and BPM masters section. We might talk about it, rub on it a little bit today, though. Rate masters are good for controlling the speed and speed of the shape as it keeps it proportional to the time. You create the same as the BPM master, but remember to go to playback options for the shape playback and change the speed. Source of rate master 1. Scale can be set in playback options. In your heads, you're all probably wondering right now, well, what the heck's the difference between a BPM master and a rate master? Well, a BPM master is going to go by beats per minute. Rate masters are going to be percentage of the saved speed. So just make my math easy. If we had our speed at 60 BPM and we set our rate master to 50%, we're going to get 30 BPM out of that because half of 60 is 30. If we had it set at 75, we would get 45 BPMs out of that. We would be equivalent to setting the speed to 45 BPMs. I hope that makes sense. Size masters we use to control shapes as well as the size of the effect. So the size of the effect increases as the fader is fired. This applies looks recorded onto playbacks created using keyframe shape generator or keyframe using either shape generator or keyframe shapes. Again, scale can be set in playback options. Pixel Mapper Masters, we'll actually do that when we do the Pixel Mapper section. Usually that's done in day 2 of my class. That's why it says that. And we'll also, we'll probably do Scene Master and Blind today, just because we can do that, because I do have the full version of Capture hooked up. You'll notice that in as of version 11, when a master is at 0, it flashes at you so that you know that it's at 0, so you're not confused why your shape isn't running, because I don't know how many times before that, you've got the perfect fade out going, and the songs fade out, and you bring all your masters down to 0 to make it look real cool, and then you go to fire, the next song fires, and you go slap up one of your shape playbacks, and nothing happens because your speed master is at 0. So at least with the LED on it blinking at you, say, hey, look at me, I'm at 0, look at me. It's kind of helpful. So that is all of our master types. Let's go in and play with them. So we'll switch over to our mobile display, which is still had all the stuff in it from earlier. So we will go ahead and close that out and hit clear on our consoles. And then we're going to go down to page 1 here, and we'll go ahead and delete these masters for 1 minute just so we can get them out of the way. Why did you not select both of them? And then let's see here, we've got a chase here. Where we got a shape playback? We got a shape playback here too, don't we? Yes, we do. So if we were to hit record on our console and then go to create master here on soft key E, we then would choose from our list. We've got intensity, rate, BPM, size, pixel mapper, and scene master. So we'll go ahead and muck about in our intensity ones first. We can set a grandmaster, so we'll just do that one first. We'll put that right here, and we'll exit out of this menu, and we'll see that if we fire a playback and we'll put up full capture. See, we fire that. If we bring the grandmaster up and down, we can control it from there. Master for all of our fixtures, even if we have, even if it's a chase or it's a playback or whatever. So we've got our park hands to do. There they are. We can see that it's going to master the intensity of all of those playbacks. So we'll delete that one just to get it out of the way for a quick moment. And then we're going to double tap release to release all these live playbacks. And I'll just drop those faders on here since it doesn't automatically do it for me. So then if we hit record and then create master, I'll look at our other intensity masters. Flash master, we'll go ahead and put it here. And we'll do our swap master at the same time, just so that we can have it there, and then we'll exit out. So we'll see that if we have our flash master down, and we'll take it to like 6%, so it's pretty obvious there. If I hit my flash button, we can see that the fixtures only come up to about 6%. Or if I crank them up a little higher, it comes up a little bit higher so we can actually see it, or all the way up to 100%. And we see that it's flashing at 100%. We also do the same thing with swap masters. So if we take it and we'll drop it down to 2%, so even if we still have this fixture fired, and this fixture, oh really? You can be a pain like that, eh? There we go. So we got these fixtures fired. If I hit my swap button on this playback, we can see this intensity is only at 12%. Actually, might have been a bad one to show it with. So you'll do it to like 4%, maybe that'll be a little more obvious. But you see that they're barely on because they're at only 4% on the swap button. I let them go. They go back to full intensity. And if I have my swap master turn up higher and we swap to it, we can see we get the same effect. And we'll delete both of these real quick just to get them out of the way. We can go ahead and hit record, and create master, and we'll look at our rest of our intensity masters. Preset master is going to be hard to show on the T1 interface as we don't have any fixtures patched to handles like we would on a Pearl Expert, but we can show the playback master real quick and show the difference between it. So we'll let it populate and we'll exit all the way out. So if I have this playback up, let's see here, let's turn all the playbacks off, and this one's perfect for it. And then we see that it controls our pictures that are in our playbacks. But if I were to select all of our dimmers and locate them, we'll see that they are not affected by the playback master, because I bring the playback master up and down. My programmer stays lit because those fixtures are in my programmer. So that was, let's show next. Let's talk about, actually I'm going to pause for 1 second here and take a sip. Dramatic pause for sip. Wow, you guys want me to screw up just so you can drink, huh? Well, how about we'll play a slight variation on it. So every time I mute the mic, you guys take a drink too, because that's usually what I'm doing when I mute the mic. So let's talk about group masters. We're going to go to our full skies screen here for a quick moment while we make a group so we can show this easily. We're going to take our BMFLs and we're going to hit our odd, even, all button and make it odd. And then we'll make a group here, and then we'll hit our fixture plus button and do another one here. Then we'll hit clear, and this should be half our fixtures. We'll double check here. Yes, it is. So I'll give them each a name. Set legend here. Picture. And set legend and here. And enter. So now if we go to our, we'll just go by our groups and playbacks here, and we'll throw our capture back up just so we can see everything we got going on. If I go to a blank page of faders, just so we've got some space, and I'll do copy both of you. Oops, there's something on that fader to here. Now we'll do it one at a time. Copy you to here. And then copy you to here. So we've got our two separate groups. One's the odd, one's the even. If we fire up this queue and we run this master up and down, we can see that our odd fixtures go in and out scaling to a percentage of what they are. Same thing with our other one. We can control our other groups of fixtures. We can also, if we had it down, we could use our flash button to Of course, no, we can't. That was probably the settings for the keys. But we can see we can control each of those groups of fixtures separately using the scale master. So that if we add our scale master to, knock it way down there, as we start bringing our fixtures down here, we'll see that their output is scaled between, 25% of 50% is going to be about 12.5% or so. But you get the idea there, right? We can also change how these masters behave. So if we go into playback options and we'll do both of them at the same time. Hold on, let me exit out of that playback options. Well, let me do block. Apparently can't do two at the same time. So we'll change this from scale master to limit. And we'll do the same thing with this one. I'll change it to limit. We'll exit out of there. So now, if I take this limit to 24% and 14%, so even if I have the fixtures bring this playback up to full, we can see that the master keeps them at no higher than the what we have here. If we go ahead and change them again, we'll change this one to HTP, and we'll do the same thing on this one. So now we see that, why are you not taking control? There we go. So we see that we have control of our fixtures as an HTTP master. So no matter what our playback is doing, our these are controlled. When the highest is going to take precedence, just like usual. So the higher fixtures are going to have control of it there. If we set these to takeover mode, we'll show that real quick. So that'll be our fixtures at, so we'll do it like that. And we'll actually release all masters. So I have no control. If we have our fixtures up here, oops, I actually grabbed a hold of it. Let's do this. Release all masters. Of course, now it's not letting me grab them how I want, but you can see that it's taken over control of those fixtures. So, any questions on the intensity set of masters, so group masters and intensity? So just to show you guys here, see if we have this. It might be hard to see over the stream here, but we can see that since I have this playback master at 0, we can see that the blue button, the blue LED on it is technically flashing. It's not easy to see on the Titan Mobile in front of me, but you can see that it is flashing. We take it above 0, it stops. So let's go into our next ones, which would be our actually hold standby. Let me and delete you. Now release all masters. Make sure we have full control of these fixtures, and we do. Let's talk about our next set of masters. So record again, create master. Let's talk about, let's play around with rate master for a minute, and we'll do the rate grandmaster. Now remember, grandmasters are grand, so they will affect things even in the programmer. So we see here with our Great Grandmaster at 100%. Actually, whoa, our scale is all the way up to 200, so we'll take that back to 100. And we put up our capture screen so we can see stuff. We'll do this one has a shape in it. And we see that it's running at that. If we slow it down, shape slow down, speed it up, shape goes faster. Now, if we were to, we'll turn this off and we'll pull it into the programmer by using include. So we'll use include and we'll select this shape. Whoops, didn't get all the way out of the record menu. Include and pull the shape into the programmer. We see that it's running. If we bring our rate grandmaster up and down, we can see that it affects even our programmer because grandmasters are grand. So just to show that even clearer, we'll just select our fixtures, locate them, give them a little bit of tilt. Take that down, shapes and effects. Shape trainer, create, band tilt, circle. Throw some spread on it. And we'll see that it's still, our grandmaster still has an effect on it, even though we just made that. So it's kind of handy, so you can control stuff in the programmer. If you're busking and doing stuff live and still need to grandmaster it, you can use your rate grandmaster. No, there is no way to exclude something from a grandmaster because, well, grandmasters are grand, as I like to say. I think someone said I should make that a t-shirt. And mic muting, so drink. Just to show it, if we were going to, we'll exit out of here. Go to playback options and selected our rate master. We see we can set the handle paging. We can change the key profile. And we'll talk about key profiles, I believe, next week. And then our scale, we can 0 to 100, 0 to 200, 0 to 4, or 0 to 6, or 0 to 1,000, which would be really, really fast. Let's see how stupid that gets. And then we take this and we go. Our circle barely moves because we're going 1,000% of its 10 times whatever the BPM was on it to utter silliness. I usually put my scale on my grandmasters to 0 to 100. And sometimes I go to 200. I shouldn't say usually. I kind of go back and forth on that. But you get the idea here, right? So that's rate masters. I'm going to go ahead and delete both of these just to get them out of the way. And we'll go into our record menu and create master. BPMs we already did, so we're going to skip that. Let's muck about with our size master real quick. And again, we've got a grand, which just like we saw before, will affect even our programmer, but we'll go ahead and do that one there. And we'll Avo exit out of that menu this time so we're not confused why stuff doesn't work right. So we'll see that if we bring up our shape playback, we can level match on our master, and then we can make it smaller, or even take it to twice its size so it gets even larger. And again, that does work on the programmer. So if we were to select our fixtures, locate them, throw some tilt on them, zoom just to make our beam small, shapes and effects, shape creator, create, pan tilt, circle, throw some spread for funness. And we'll see that our size master still controls even in the programmer. Do remember, if you are, just to make it clear, we'll clear this out, exit, and we're going to go ahead and delete this grandmaster. And if we go to record, create master, size master, we'll do size master 1 and assign it to here. And exit out of that menu. Until I tell this shape to listen to this size master, it's not going to. So if I do playback options, select this playback, go to its effects tab, and then choose size source. So local, I can set it to size master 1. Exit out of here. I'll always refire it after you make a change like that. We see that now I can control its size with this size master because it's been told to listen to it now. Now we'll just do release. There we go. And we'll turn this down. Oops. Now if we go to, let's look at our other ones we got here. So we record, create master. I said pixel mapper we'll discuss when we do the pixel mapper section. So let's talk about scene master. And we'll choose this fader for it right here. And we'll exit out of here. So what Scene Master is a more advanced blind that gives us the ability to not only do the programmer in blind mode, which we might, we'll just show that real quickly here in a quick moment, just to show blind, and we might end up doing it again on another class, but we'll do it right quick here. So I'm going to make sure we can see our internal visualizer, and we'll have, we'll go with this playback because it works. So, and then put up our full version of capture so we can see our external capture and our internal capture more or less match. So we'll see if I shut the console into blind mode by clicking blind. Now, if I were to select our BMFLs and throw locate on them, we can see in our internal capture they have located, but in our external capture, which is more representation of our real world lights, have not located. So then I could, change, hit a, give them a new position and maybe a new color. And if I like that, I could just record from here and record a new playback if I wanted to, because it's basically the programmer, so I can record and go here. And then when I hit clear, and then I exit blind mode, we can see that it had no effect on our real world lights. There's a slight hiccup in capture where it doesn't always return to how it should. But if we fire the fixtures here, or this playback, we can see in our full version of capture, it has done right. Don't know why the internal capture stays silly like this sometimes, but it does. But let's show blind. And obviously now it's working. Our internal's working again. It's a bug that I don't quite understand, but hopefully the devs do know about it and hopefully get it fixed soon. But another thing you can do with blind is, let's see here, we'll get this playback running again. If we enter blind mode and we were to select our fixtures and we'll locate them, and then we go to this and we go to this color and say, that's the perfect look. That's exactly what I wanted. You could then type in a time, like 5, my favorite time to always type in while doing classes, and then hit my blind key. We can see that it fades into the real world in that 5 seconds that I just gave it. Real handy for things in the programmer, right? So now let's talk about Scene Master instead. So we're going to clear it, and we'll refire this playback to get everything up. So we enter Scene Master first by hitting its blue button here to enter the blind to enter the Scene Master mode. You will now see that even anything I do in playbacks is put into our internal capture visualizer, but not our full external version. And is anybody not said anything since Sam said you should? Or is it, did comments lock up again? But we can see that our internal visualizer, even if we're firing playbacks, we can see what they do in there, but it's not affecting our real world up on capture. And then I can use my fader here to, I had to bring it down to engage it, and fades into our real world by moving the fader. And then I can make another change. And you'll notice that every time I make a change with a fader, it turns purple on the display. I can also bring my fader down to fade into my real world with it. I can also do, I can type in a time, like 5 again, and then hit my gray button to commit on my Scene Master, and it will fade in over 5 seconds into my real world, as we can see there. It will still work on the programmer, so if we were to select our BMFLs and locate them, we can see that in our real world capture, they haven't run and the shape is still running on it down over here, so I could kill that shape and then go to this pan and tilt position and this color, and then I can type a time like 5 in again and hit my gray button, and we'll see that in 5 seconds my fixtures will fade in to their proper positioning. So that is Scene Master. And again, I said we'll cover the Pixel Mapper live next time around, or when we get to Pixel Mapper. It's a lot easier to explain that once after we've done pixel mapping. It's a lot easier to explain the Pixel Mapper layer master. So, any questions on masters up to this point? And then if there are none, we will move off into the save and disk menu. And mute audio for drink, so it's your turn to drink too. Yeah, Scene Master is pretty handy. One thing I didn't go over, let's actually switch back to it for a second here, is to remember to disengage it by turning it off, or anything you're trying to, say you're trying to fire your blinders and you've got it on. You got to remember that nothing's going to happen in your real world until you until you turn Scene Master off by hitting the blue key. You can also set the key profiles to do different things, which we'll talk about when you get to key profile day. But we can set it to be, set our key profile to the commit and exit scene mode, so that we could give it that time of 5 seconds to hit that, and it would fire it and then exit the scene mode, so you're not accidentally leaving it in it. I don't know how many times I've caught myself out of doing this perfectly cool stuff in Scene Master, and then I go to fire my blinders for an audience bump, and nothing happens. So keep an eye on that, and just remember to disengage it when you're done with it. Agreed, Sam. I still haven't had a chance to play with DJ Pro Link, as I haven't got my hands on any tables. This whole COVID-19 thing has thrown a real curveball, and me getting my hands on some. But hopefully, I'll work that out soon enough, and we maybe can do another webinar on it. I believe I think one's been done already. If not, maybe we'll just do another one. Well, with that, let's go ahead and talk about our save and disk menu. So in the disk menus where we can save or load shows from hard disk or USB, if you tap disk twice, it saves your current show. It's a pretty handy little feature. We'll switch back over to our mobile real quick. And if we go here to our disk key and we double tap disk, we can see that it's saving our show in its current state. It would not include stuff in the program or any playbacks fired, because that's not how Titan saves work. But anything we programmed up to that quickly, it's a good one. You're going to walk away to go grab some lunch real quick. Double tap that disk real quick to make sure it's doing a save. So if your sound guy decides he wants to play Lampy for a minute and messes up the whole console, you at least got a save point to go back to. Or if I'm going to do something quote unquote dangerous, where I could mess stuff up, maybe I'll just double tap that disk button real quick just to give me somewhere to go back to if I on the last day we all drink together. Agreed, sir. Just a quick way to get it saved. If we'll click back over here. new show, when starting a new show, you have the option to keep the existing DMX settings. This observes the tight net configuration of the console, which determines how the XLR sockets on the back of the console are used and how DMX is sent over network, your streaming ACN and ArtNet configurations. There's also an option to wipe in the system menu. This has the same function and is located in the same place in the older classic Avolites software. So let's switch back over to our mobile real quick and just show that. If we hit disk and then we go to new show, we have our wipe settings, DMX settings on or off button. If we turned it off, it's going to keep our DMX settings, which is handy. Say you got a club set up, or you already know your ArtNet or streaming ACN settings, and your XLR outputs are configured correctly. Might want to do that, save yourself time and have to go reconfigure them. Or if it was a rental console, I'm going to turn it on because I have no clue what that last jackwagon did in his show file. It might have been me, and who knows what I did to him to make something silly happen. So you might want to wipe those if you get a console after I've been mucking about with it. There's that there. And you can also find the same thing in the system menu. So if we went to system and we found wipe, if we click that, that would be the same as wiping our patch and everything else out, but would keep our configuration of our DMX settings window. So that's the same place. It's where it used to be in classic consoles. That's where it is again. So I'm going to go ahead and exit that. Yeah, I believe that was an 11.3 bug, and let's see, I was correct. I believe it was fixed in 11.4. Switch back to our slides. The console will load show. The console will automatically reload the last show when it is turned on. After pressing load show, the show browser window will appear. Most of you guys know this, but we'll just show it anyways. If we hit disk and then load show, and you see our show browser comes up here. And on this laptop, I have quite a few show files. So you can see there, we can pick it. We can pick a show file and then choose which save. That was a bad one to pick because it doesn't have anything on it. Winter Chill. There we go. We pick from any of our particular saves, and we can see that it puts a timestamp on them, date and time that we can pull them from. We're going to exit that real quick so we don't load a show in the middle of all this. And we'll switch back to our slides. If we were to hit disk and then save, you can save your show at any time, either with its current name or with a new name. If you save your show with its current name, a new version of the show will be created. This allows you to go back to previous versions of your show if needed. Again, just puts that date and time stamp on them, as we showed just a second ago. Save as, you can save your show under a different name using the save as soft key. And we'll switch back over real quick and just show that. So if we go to disk and then save as, we can change the name from V13 Cade Show to a new one. Like if I'm touring, I usually do a save per city. So I'll do the Denver save, the New York save, the Dallas save. So when I get to LA and the rig is almost exactly the same as the Dallas save, rather than do all that exchanging and copying fixtures, I can maybe just pull up that old save and save myself a little bit of time and make my pre-show setting up go that much quicker, and I can be back in eating catering quickly. And if any of you have met me, we know that I like catering. So let's go on from there. If we switch back to our slides, import shows usually import parts of other shows. I believe we are doing show import next Friday, I believe, is we're doing that one. And we'll do all that then. Let's talk about autosave. The console will automatically save your show to its internal hard disk when you shut it down. It will also autosave the show every 30 minutes by default in case the console loses power. You can disable autosave or alter time between saves using the autosave. In the disk menu, press disk button and then autosave from the soft keys. You can reload autosaves using the show browser. This option is included in because autosave used to make the console kind of pause. This is no longer the case. We recommend you do not disable autosave. If you lose power while programming, autosave will make your day a whole lot better and save your butt for... I think it's over here on my desk, Jay, for the lunch order. Autosave so what used to happen, I'll just start my whole spiel over here, is that sometimes when the autosave would happen in the console, say you had a shape run and a circle run, and the console would kind of pause for a moment, and then it would continue on. That is no longer an issue. So you might find an older Avo program that will tell you, oh, you always got to shut off autosave. You don't need to. If you have an extremely massive show file, and I'm talking like thousands of playbacks, thousands and thousands of playbacks, uh, you don't need to shut it off. It works just fine. You won't have a problem with it at all, and it's going to save your butt when that day happens and you lose power. Say you've got a course that have a battery backup, and the stagehand decides to move your power from one part, your snake power from somewhere to something else, and you lose everything. I've had that happen, and it was a real bad day. So leave it on. It's going to save your butt. One thing to remember about autosaves is the autosaves do not cross version numbers, so that you can't take a autosave from version 11 and load it up in version 12 or 13. You've got to have a quote-unquote full save for that. So either tapping disk twice or doing disk save or disk save as. So it's a full save rather than just an autosave. Again, autosaves do not cross version numbers. So actually, let's talk a little more about that autosave menu since we'll show it on screen here. So if we go to disk and then we find autosave from our soft keys here, we see we can enable it or disable it. Again, leave it enabled. You can change its duration. So if 30 minutes isn't enough for you, you can change it down there. If I'm doing a heavy programming session, sometimes I'll cut that down to 5 minutes so that if I make a huge mistake, I only lose 5 minutes of work, not 29 minutes of work. You can also change the number of autosaves. The console by default does 5, and it'll roll over, so it'll delete the oldest one and add in the new one. But you can change that number to more if you so need. I'm usually pretty happy with 5, but I suppose if my show was super intense, I kick that up to 10 just to more cover my butt, right? It's always better to be have extra coverage than not enough. So we'll exit out of that real quick. And we'll go back to our slides. TitanNet sessions. TitanNet is Avolites' own in-house protocol used to talk between Avolites consoles, allows for backup, multi-user, user streaming ACN, merge, and handle worlds. We will get into those in a later webinar. Same thing with handle worlds. Each show can have multiple handle worlds, each having its own layout of handles. This allows the user to each have their own layout of queues, palettes, chases, which can be easily switched. For example, when a support band or headlight band are using the same console, or when multiple programmers are working collaboratively on a nebula consoles. When a user selected the handle world they were using is also loaded. Default handle world is called Mapping World 1. And again, we will do that in a later webinar or live stream, however you want to say it. But it'll be, I believe it's next week. We'll put up the schedule at the end of the class here. Users, each show can have multiple users. Each user has their own user settings, key profiles, and handle layout known as handle world. This provides a quick way to switch between the preferred user settings and handle worlds. For example, at a festival or other event where there are a number of operators, the default user is operator. If we swap back over to our display real quick, we can see that our user is operator here, and the current key profile is the program key profile. But we'll get into that again on another day. Some reports. Repairing a show is often useful to create a report of how the show is patched or programmed on the console, for example, to give to the crew on pre-rigging fixtures, or just for your records. This is what a basic patch report looks like. And actually, let's do, we got a little bit of time here. Let's go ahead and play around with that. No, you cannot change the default. You have to set it for each show file. There's no way to change that in Titan. That's a hard-coded in. So let's play around with our reports real quick here. So if we go to disk and we click on reports here, we can choose what we want to have for our reports. Fixtures, which is basically a patch report. Memory, which is the queues. You can have show just our chases, just our queue lists, our palettes, and our groups. And let's just we'll do a fixture one. We'll choose it to have our fixtures in it, and we'll hit OK. And then we can export it as HTML, PDF, CSV, or XML. We'll do PDF, and we'll see that it is exporting it out, and then it goes to where it was saved. On the PC Suite, it's going to save your reports in the your user folder of Windows Documents Titan Reports folder, and the name of the show and the date you made the report on. If we double click it, it'll open it up, and we can see here, we can see the patch we have in here for this console, which is our 6 dimmers and our 10 BMFLs, and what they are, their location, if they're pan, different things about them, if they have any pan or tilt offset, or their pan and tilt swaps, or any channels frozen, some notes if we had them, they're used in how many different items. So we're going to close that one, and if we show, let's do disk reports, and this time we'll put in our palettes and groups. We'll put in everything except for fixtures, and let's make this one sillily. And again, we're going to do it as a PDF so it's easy to show up on screen here. Oh, and I think I got myself tongue-tied out. On the consoles, they'll be saved in your D drive of the console, the D drive. So we see here, it kind of squished everything down a little bit because for some reason it does weird on this this computer, and I've yet to figure out why. We'll make this full screen. We can see there are groups here and what they all are, as well as their labels, what fixtures are in them, and their fixture orders even. If you go down and see our queues, these are the different queues we have in here, and things about the playbacks themselves. Here's all the chases I have recorded in this show file. Here are some more stuff about the chases, or actually the stuff about the chase themselves. In our queue list, there's only one queue list in this show file currently. We can see what's in the queue list itself. You can see all of our palettes and what about them, whether it is kind. So these are all helpful if we need to just have a memory of what we did on our show file, or be able to handle the shop monkey or whatever along those lines. I hope that makes sense there. So switch back to our slides real quick. Startup show locked, unlocked. This is used to lock the startup show to protect it from any changes made. This is useful in nightclubs where various operators may accidentally change parts of the show. To show that on our display here real quick, so we can go to disk and startup show locked. We just help to lock it or unlock it. So basically, is go back to the save point that you choose it to at this point in time, so that if you say, it's really nice that you got a nightclub install, or like a bar, or a house of worship too, and the kids who come in on the Wednesday service and have messed everything up, and on Thursday they can't figure out why everything isn't working right. Just tell them to restart the console, and if you go back to that save point, and everything will go back to how it's supposed to be, quote unquote. Super handy for those. Sometimes it's really nice to go out and make that service call dollar by having to go to that bar and charge them for that, but not if it's 3 hours away. Or you've got a bigger gig that's going to make you more money that day. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do with it then. So it's kind of handy in those situations. And pause for drink. So let's talk about some helpful links for Titan. Top one here is where we can go download the latest version of Titan, as well as past versions, as probably most of you in here already know. Personally downloads, we're going to download the personalities for our consoles to update them. It is updated literally daily. The guys who handle this, I call them the hardest working guys at Avolites, and they can help take care of anything, help get your personality as well as update the latest ones. Feature requests. Here's what we call the ideas and features page. If there's something that you think should be added to Titan, You can find it here. You can go here and put in a suggestion as well as upvote personal things that are there. They are paying attention to this list. They will. They are doing their best to add the top 5 requests into each software version. We did see that in version 12 and in version 13. Stuff from that list did get added. So make sure that you put in your requests of what you think should be added to Titan, or upvote ones that already exist so they can get added. Advanced Personality Search. This is hosted on the German site thanks to our wonderful gentleman Seb, who had, oh golly, complete brain fart there. Sorry, I got a text that threw me off. Uh, be able to search personalities or fixtures. You can go in and put in, so a lot of these Chinese fixtures, they're all the same fixtures, right? So here you can go in and you can put that pan and tilt's on channels 1 and 2, and that channel 5 is color, and you can find all the fixtures that have those same things on them and be able to do it immediately. Or be able to find it immediately and then patch it, find one that already exists, so you can either modify it or just use it. And I'm sorry, I'm completely messing up my description of this right now, and I don't know why. Super, super handy. Use it all the time. Sebastian has made a great tool to be able to use. Next we have is our personality builder tutorial. It's a great place to go learn the personality builder. I don't usually cover it in my classes, but this is a great place to be able to go and learn a little bit more. Macro share wiki and tutorial. We will go into macros some on this, and Seb has said that he will join us for my macro class. I believe that's on the 20th or 21st of April, and we will go into macros a little bit more in depth than I usually do in my classes because we'll have Seb there to play along with us. Next we have the Facebook groups, the Titan 1 group, and the regular Avolites program user groups, where it's just where we're hosting this. So I hope all of you are part of that group already, or a part of both of them. Again, the Titan 1 group's more focused on the Titan 1 T1 and T2 products. So if you have questions specifically to those, go ahead and go there and get it from there. The next one down is the Avolites forum. If you're not a Facebooker, which all of you are because we're on Facebook, you can go there. Sometimes if you want to get more direct answers from a dev, that's a better place to go. But you don't necessarily get a quick answer there. Though lately, and even before our current crisis, the devs are doing a better job of stopping into Facebook and answering questions. Fraser and Peter have been around a lot more often, and getting direct answers from them, which is super helpful because sometimes there's stuff that just I don't know or is above my ability level, and they can come in and answer those questions for you. So that, my friends, is everything in the save and disk menu and our planned stuff for today. We've got a little bit of time here we can muck about with. So are there any questions on anything we've been over in the last 2 weeks? Or anything specifically today with the save and disk menu or the masters that we didn't get answered? Feel free to answer away, and we're going to pause while we drink. Hi, Ruben. Yes, to answer your question, all mobiles take external AVO keys, uh, except for it has a serial number higher than 5,000, in which case it is already built in. The only advantage is if you have, like I do, since my personal mobile is an older one that has the 2 USB ports on the side, I can stick I put my Evo key inside my Titan mobile so it doesn't accidentally disappear on me. I don't lose it because those Evo keys are awful tiny. If you don't have one that has the 2 USB ports on the side, my suggestion is to lanyard it to the leg of the mobile to keep it from disappearing. So, any other questions other than that one? But yes, as Sam has said there, Fraser and Pete are good cats. I don't think I've met Fraser in person. I've shook hands with Pete, I believe, but not much other than that. We did go over all of the AOKey stuff, Ruben. If you, well, we didn't go super deep into it. I'll give you that. Okay. Maybe we'll do another one that focuses just on Avo keys. We'll do it as an off-brand one instead of our usual timing. The video of opening consoles. Problems that I have to have consoles available to do all that. I currently only have a, well, I have a Quartz. I finally got my Sapphire down out of lockdown, and I do have access to an Arena currently, but not everything else. But folks, if we don't have any more direct questions for today, uh, let's see what we got coming up. So if we look here, starting on Monday, or we'll take a break for the weekend from videos, and starting on Monday, the 13th, we'll be doing Q list, then pixel mapping on Tuesday. Wednesday we'll be doing synergy. From a console perspective, I know Ruben here did one from AI's perspective. Was that last week or earlier this week? I'm sorry, my weeks have gotten mushed up now. But we'll do one from a console perspective. Thursday of next week, we'll be doing blind mode and scene master. Though we already did those, we'll do them again, and key profiles. Next Friday, we'll be doing show import and fixture mapping and the user settings menu. And then the next Monday after that, we'll get into networking and multi-user and backup, and then macros after that. So don't forget, you can you can see that schedule for yourself by hopping on here on our Avolites US page. This is also again where our in-person classes will be listed once we're able to get out and do them again. You can also keep an eye on the avolites.com/online resources to find other trainings hosted by our wonderful Mr. Gordon and Mr. Aaron to handle our AI classes and all of that. Here's both those up at the same time. Arrow, no, you cannot. Nothing. There's no way to have something ignore a grandmaster. Grandmasters are grand. However, you can use freeze to lock them at a certain one, or set an upper or lower limit is a workaround to a master. Those are the ways you can do that. But otherwise, we're going to go ahead and call that a day for the day, unless someone else got another quick question. Give you guys a quick moment to get caught up with me and drink. Well, then it looks like you guys have managed to catch up on the stream to where I am in the. Oh yes, oh we might get Mr. Sam to come play with us. I will enjoy that. Yes, so at this point we'll see you guys next week. And hey, that's two classes in a row with not one switching mistake. I might be getting better at this. And I've definitely digged myself for next Monday. Anyhow, with that, gentlemen, I will let you go. We'll have a nice day here from Mission Control. Actually, see those last couple of questions popped up before I hit end on the live stream, so go ahead and answer them real quick. Bobby, is there a macro to remove limits or freeze? No, but you could make one. Is there a way to have a report of cues with all the intensity saved in it, using dimmers in the theatrical play, for example? Let's take a quick look, Paolo, and see if there is. I'm not positive, but we'll do dimmers, and we'll locate, and we'll use our odd even all to get odds, and we'll take their dimmers to 50%, and then we'll take and record in fixture mode here, and that'll be Q16. So we'll hit clear. If we test Q16, we see that's what we get. So now let's do disk reports. Memories is all we need out of it. And we'll say OK and PDF. And we'll check that. And let's see here. Q16. No, it doesn't look like we can get the actual intensities saved into it, unfortunately. I don't believe that's one. But what you could do is go ahead and go to our ideas and features page, as we talked about earlier, and put that in as a feature request, and hopefully it can get added to Titan. I would upvote that one myself if it was there. So this time we're going to go with goodbye here from Mission Control, and I'll catch you guys on Monday. Thanks for coming out.